Om Shri Sadguru Sainathaya Namaha. Chapter 6 Sai Satcharitra. In this chapter, Ramanavami festival, masjid repairs, efficacy of the touch of the Guru's hand, sandal procession, transformation of Urus into Ramanavami festival, and the masjid repairs are discussed. Before describing Ramanavami festival and masjid repairs, the author makes some preliminary remarks about Sadguru as follows. Efficacy of the touch of the Guru's hand. When Sadguru is the helmsman, he is sure to carry us safely and easily beyond the worldly ocean. The word Sadguru brings to mind Sai Baba, the perfect master. He appears to me as if standing before me and applying Udi to my forehead and placing his hand of blessing on my head. Then joy fills my heart and love overflows my eyes. Wonderful is the power of touch of Guru's hand, the subtle body consisting of thoughts and desires which cannot be burned by gross fire is destroyed by the mere touch of Guru's hand, and the sins of many past births are cleaned and washed away. Even the speech of those who feel agitated when they hear religious and godly talks attain calmness. The sight of Sai Baba's handsome form chokes our throat with joy, makes the eyes overflow with tears, and overwhelms the heart with emotions. It awakens in us, I am He, Soham, Brahma consciousness, manifests the joy of self-realization, and dissolving the distinction of I and thou, makes us one with the Supreme, one reality. When I began to read scriptures, at every step I am reminded of my Sadguru Sai Baba, who assumes the form of Rama or Krishna and makes me listen to his life. For instance, when I sit to listen to Bhagavat, Sai becomes Krishna from top to toe, and I think he sings the Bhagavat or Uddhava Gita, song of teachings by Lord Shri Krishna to his disciple Uddhava for the welfare of the devotees. When I myself start to write anything, I cannot compose a few words or sentence, but when he of his own account makes me write, I go on writing, and there is no end to it. When the disciple's egoism props up, he presses it down with his hand and gives him his own power, makes him achieve his object, and thus satisfies and blesses him. If anyone prostrate before Sai and surrenders his heart and soul to him, then all the chief objects of life, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, are attained easily and unsolicitedly. Four paths, karma, dhyana, yoga, and bhakti, leads us separately to God. Of this, the path of bhakti is thorny and full of pits and ditches, and thus difficult to traverse. But if you relying on your Sadguru, avoid the pits and thorns and walk straight, it will take you to your destination, so says Sai Baba. After philosophizing about the self-existent Brahma, his power to create this world and the world created, and stating that all these three are ultimately one and the same, the author quotes Sai Baba's word guaranteeing the welfare of the bhaktas. There will never be any dearth or scarcity regarding food and clothes in my devotee's home. It is my special characteristic that I always look to and provide for the welfare of those devotees who worship me wholeheartedly with their mind ever fixed on me. Lord Krishna has also said the same in the Gita. Therefore, strive not much for food and clothes. If you want anything, beg of the Lord, renounce worldly honors. Try to get Lord's grace and blessing and be honored in His court. Don't be deluded by the worldly honor. The form of the deity should be firmly fixed in the mind. Let all the senses and the mind be ever devoted to the worship of the Lord. Let there be no attraction for any other thing. Fix the mind in remembering me always, so that it will not wander elsewhere towards body, wealth, and home. Then it will be calm, peaceful, and carefree. This is the sign of the mind being well engaged in good company. If the mind is vagrant, it cannot be called well merged in Him. After quoting these words, author goes on to relate the story of Ramanavami festival in Shirdi. As Ramanavami is the most celebrated festival at Shirdi, another fuller account as published in Sri Sai Leela magazine of 1925, page 197 is also referred to, and a summary of the festival as related in both these accounts is attempted here. Origin. One Mr. Gopal Rao Gun was a surveyor in a survey department at Kopargaon. He was a great devotee of Baba. He had 3 wives but had no children. With Sai Baba's blessing, a son was born to him. In the joy that he felt due to this, an idea of celebrating a fair or urus occurred to him in the year 1897, and he placed it for consideration before other Shirdi devotees, Tatya Patel, Dada Kotya Patel and Madhav Deshpande. They all approved of the idea and obtained Sai Baba's permission and blessing for it. Then an application was made to get the collector's sanction for celebrating the Urus, but as the village Kulkarni held against holding the fair, the sanction was refused. But as Sai Baba had blessed it, they tried again and ultimately succeeded in getting the collector's sanction. The day for the Urus was fixed on Ramanavami. After having consultation with Sai Baba, it seems he had some purpose behind this, the unification of the two festivals, the Urus and the Ramanavami, and the unification of the two communities, the Hindus and the Mohammedans. As future events showed, this end or object was duly achieved. Though the permission was obtained, but other difficulties cropped up. Shirdi was a village and there was scarcity of water. There were 2 wells in the village. The one in use dried up soon, and the water from the second was brackish. This brackish water was turned into sweet water by Sai Baba by putting flowers into it. As the water of this well was insufficient, so Tatya Patel had to arrange to get water from outside. Temporary shops were to be constructed and the wrestling boats arranged. Gopal Rao Gun had a friend by name Damohanna Kasar of Ahmednagar. He also was similarly unhappy with the matter of progeny. Though he had 2 wives, he too was blessed by Sai Baba with sons, and Mr. Gun prevailed upon his friend to prepare and supply 1 flag for the procession of the fair. He also succeeded in inducing Mr. Nana Sahib Nimokar to supply another flag. Both these flags were taken in procession through the village and finally fixed at the 2 corners of the masjid, which is called by Sai Baba as Dwarkamai. This is being done even now. Let us now see the sandal procession. There was another procession which was started in this fair. The idea of sandal procession originated with one Mr. Ramesh Shankar Dalal, a Mohammedan Bhakta from Kerala. This procession is held in the honor of the great Muslim saints. Sandal, that is chandan, paste are put in the thali with incense burning before them and carried in the procession to the accompaniment of band and music through the village, and then after returning to the masjid, the content of the dishes are thrown on the wall of the masjid. This work was managed by Mr. Ramesh Shankar for the first 3 years and then afterwards by his wife. So, on the same day, 2 processions, the flags by the Hindus and the sandal by the Muslim, went on side by side and are still going on without any problem. Let us see the arrangements. This day was very dear and sacred to the devotees of Sai Baba. Most of them turned up for the occasion and took part in the management of the fair. Tatya Kotya Patel looked to the all outward affair, while the internal management was entirely left to Radha Krishna Mai, a female devotee of Baba. Her residence was full of guests on the occasion and she had to look after their needs and also arrange for the equipment of the fair. Another work which she willingly did was to clean and whitewash the entire masjid, its wall and the floor which were blackened on the account of Duni. This she did during the night when Sai Baba had gone to sleep every alternative night in the chowdi. She had to take out all the things including the duni and after thorough cleaning and whitewashing replace them as they were before. Feeding the poor, which was so dear to Sri Sai Baba, was also an important item in this fair. For this purpose, cooking on the grand scale and preparing various sweet dishes was done in Radha Krishna Mahilaji, and various rich and wealthy devotees took a leading part in this. Transformation of Urus into Ramanavami festival. The Things were going on in this way, and the fair was gradually increasing its importance till 1912, when a change took place. That year, one devotee, Mr. Krishnarao Jogeshwar Bhishma, the author of Sai Sagunopasana, came for the fair with Dada Sahib Karpade of Amaravati and was staying in the Dikshitwada. While he was lying in the veranda and while Kaka Mahajani was going with the puja material to the masjid, a thought arose in his mind and he accosted the latter thus: "There is some providential arrangement in the fact that the Uras or the fair is celebrated in Shirdi on the Ramanavami day. Ramanavami is very dear to all the Hindus. Then why not begin the Ramanavami festival, the celebration of birth of Sri Rama, on this day here?" Kaka Mahajani liked the idea and it was arranged to get Baba's permission in this matter. The main difficulty was how to secure a Haridas who would do kirtan and sing the glories of Lord on the occasion. But Bhishma solved the difficulty by saying his composition on Rama birth was ready and he would do the kirtan himself, while Kaka Mahajani should play the harmonium. It was also arranged to get ginger powder mixed with sugar as prasad prepared by Radhakrishna Mai. So they immediately went to the masjid to get Baba's permission. Baba, who knew everything and was aware of what was happening there, asked Mahajani as to what was going on in the Vada. Being rather disturbed, Mahajani could not catch the meaning of the question and remained silent. Then Baba asked Bhishma what he had to say. He explained the idea of celebrating Ramanavami festival and asked for Baba's permission, and Baba gladly gave it. All rejoiced and made preparation for the Jayanti festival. Next day, the masjid was decorated. A cradle was supplied by Radhakrishna Mai and placed in front of Baba's seat, and the proceedings started. Bhishma stood up for the kirtan and Mahajani began to play on the harmonium. Sai Baba sent a man to call Mahajani. He was hesitating to go, doubtful whether Baba would allow the festival to go on. But when he went to Baba, the latter asked him as to what was going on and why the cradle was placed there. He answered that the Ramanavami festival had commenced and the cradle was put out for that purpose. Then Baba took a garland and placed it round his neck and sent another garland for Bhishma. Then the kirtan commenced. When it came to a close, loud sound of victory to Rama went up and gulal were thrown up all around amidst band and music. Everybody was overjoyed. Then suddenly a roar was heard. A red powder thrown went up and somehow fell into Baba's eyes. Baba got wild and began to scold and abuse loudly. People got frightened and took to their heels. The intimate devotees who knew Baba well took this scolding and outpouring of Baba as blessing in disguise. They thought that when Rama was born, it was proper for Baba to get wild and enraged to kill Raman and his turns in the form of egoism and wicked thoughts. Besides, they knew that whenever a new thing was undertaken at Shirdi, it was usual with Baba to get wild and angry, and so they kept quiet. Radhakrishna Mai was rather afraid and thought that Baba might break her cradle, and she asked Mahajani to pull the cradle back. When he went to loosen and unfasten the cradle, Baba went to him and asked him not to remove it. Then after some time, Baba became calm and that day's program, including Mahapuja and Aarti, was finished. Later on, Mr. Mahajani asked Baba's permission to remove the cradle. Baba refused the same, saying that the festival was not yet over. Next day, another kirtan and Gopalakala ceremony. Earthen pot containing parched rice mixed with curd is hung to be broken after the kirtan and the content distributed to all, as was done by Lord Sri Krishna amongst his friends, was performed, and then Baba allowed the cradle to be removed. While the Ramanavami festival was thus going on, the procession of the two flags by day and that of the sandal by night went off with usual pomp and show. From this time onwards, the Uras of Baba was transformed into Ramanavami festival. From next year, 1913, the items in the program of Ramanavami began to increase. Radhakrishna Mai started a Namasapta, singing the glory of the God's name continuously day and night for 7 days, from 11th day of Chaitra. For this, all devotees took part by turns, and she also joined it sometime early in the morning. As Ramanavami festival is celebrated in many places all over the country, the difficulty of getting a Haridas was felt again. But 5 or 6 days before the festival, Mahajani incidentally met Bala Bova, who was known as Madran Tukaram, and got him to do the Kirtan that year. The next year, 1914, another Bala Bova Satarkar of district Satara could not act as a Haridas in his hometown as plague was prevailing there, so he came to Shirdi. With Baba's permission, which was secured through Kaka Sahib Dikshit, he did the Kirtan. The difficulty of getting a new Haridas every year was finally solved from 1914 by Sai Baba, as he entrusted this function to Das Kanu Maharaj permanently, and since that time he has been successfully conducting that function until now. Since 1912, this festival began to grow gradually year by year. From the 8th to the 12th of Chaitra, Shirdi looked like a beehive of men. Shops began to increase. Celebrated wrestlers took part in wrestling bout. Feeding of the poor was done on a grander scale. Hard work and sincere effort of Radha Krishna Mai turned Shirdi into a sansthan. State's equipment increased. A beautiful horse, a palanquin, a chariot, many other silver items, utensils, pots, buckets, pictures, mirror were presented. Elephants were also sent for the procession. Though all this equipment increased, Sai Baba ignored all these things and maintained his simplicity and modesty as before. It is to be noted that both the Hindus and Mohammedans have been working together in both the procession during the entire festival. There has been no confrontation or quarrel between them. First about 5,000 to 7,000 people used to gather, but that figure went up to 75,000 in some year. Still there was no outbreak of any epidemic disease nor any riots during past so many years. Let us see how the repairs of the masjid took place. Another important idea occurred to Gopal Gun just as he started the Urus. He thought that he should repair and renovate the masjid. So in order to carry out the repairs, he collected the stones and got them dressed. But this work was not assigned to him. This was reserved for Nana Sahib Chandrokar and the payment work for Kaka Sahib Dikshit. Initially, Baba was unwilling to allow them to have work done, but with the intervention of Malaspati, a local devotee of Baba, his permission was secured. Baba took a small gadi for his seat, discarding the usual piece of sackcloth used till then. In 1911, Sabha Mandap was also put in order with great labor and effort. Open space in front of the masjid was also very small and inconvenient. Kaka Sahib Dikshit wanted to extend it and put a roofing on it. At great expense, he got iron post, pillar and started the work. At night, all the devotees worked hard and fixed the post. But Baba, when he returned from Chowdi next morning, uprooted them all and threw them out. Once it so happened that Baba got very excited, caught a pole with one hand and began to shake and uproot it, and with the other hand caught Tatya Patel's neck. He took by force Tatya's feet, struck a match and set it on fire and threw it in pit. At that time, Baba's eyes flashed like a burning coal. None dared to look at him. All got terribly frightened. Baba took out a rupee from his pocket and threw it there as if it were an offering on an auspicious occasion. Tatya was also much frightened. None knew what was going to happen to Tatya, and none dared to interfere. Babaji Shinde made a bold advance, but he was pushed aside by Baba. Madhav Rao was also similarly treated. So all those who went to intercede were similarly dealt with. But after some time, Baba's anger cooled down. He sent for a shopkeeper, got from him an embroidered feta, and himself tied it on Tatya's head, as if he was being given a special honor. All the people were wonderstruck to see this strange behavior of Baba. They were at lost to know what enraged Baba so suddenly and what led him to assault Tatya Patel, and why his anger cooled down the next moment. Baba was sometimes very calm and quiet and talked sweet things with love, but suddenly, with or without any reason, got enraged. Many such incidents may be related, but I don't know which to choose and which to omit. I therefore refer them as they occur to me. In the next chapter, the question whether Baba was a Hindu or a Mohammedan will be taken up, and his yogic practice and powers and other matters will also be dealt with. Go to Sri Sai, peace be to all.